There was one wedding from last year that I don't think I'll ever forget. At the end of the day, too, bride came up and she said, "My two legs are killing me." And on the Monday, she messaged me to say a picture of her with two crutches, and she said,
Oh,
"You injured the bride with the height of dancing from the last two nights," and
Jesus.
that to me was the ultimate compliment.
Welcome to the Weddings.ie podcast. If you are getting married and looking for the very best wedding suppliers and venues in Ireland, check out Weddings.ie. We also host a massive wedding festival called Wedfest, where you can get to chat to these wedding suppliers and venues in person. You can find out more about up and coming events at Weddings.ie.
How is Danny, lad?
I'm good. How are you keeping, Justin?
Very good indeed. Very good indeed. Nice to have you on here.
Thanks for having me.
Good, good. Here, we'll get stuck straight into it. So tell everyone what you do and, yeah, what you specialise in.
Jack of all trades, master of none. So I suppose, look, I'm a musician. I play both solo, duo, 3 or 4 piece band. So I try and offer something for every part of a wedding, from the ceremony, drinks reception, the mains, and the day two. And I suppose, like that and everything else, I try and make sure that people get exactly what they want.
Awesome.
Whether it's more of a country bass set list or maybe more of your typical wedding band, classic hits, modern set list. I just want to make sure that people are happy.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
And, like, how long have you been gigging then? Like, how long have you been on the scene?
I suppose I was about 15 or 16 years now. I've been playing music. I started off on the country and Irish scene with my mum in a 2 piece band, and we played all the hotels and the dance halls all over the country. And
Really?
we did a few weddings as that outfit as well, but it wasn't something I really ever pushed at the time because, yeah, we were just flat out at the dances, And
Yeah.
I suppose maybe about 12 years ago, when I went to college in the School of Music, made a couple of friends with lads, and they said, "Can you cover me for a solo gig in this bar? Or can you cover me here?" And I started playing on the solo scene in the bars. And from
Yeah.
there, I was getting messages, "Can you do a day two? Can you do a drinks reception?" And again, never put my head into the wedding industry as such for it, but it just kind of slowly came through. And I suppose after a while then, maybe 5 years ago, my good friend James Casey down in Casey's in Clonakilty messaged me, "I'm stuck for a band one Saturday night. Can you pull a couple of your college friends together?" And
Yeah.
I did. There was 3 of us, myself, Lee and Colin, and we went down and there was no practice. It was just, "Right, lads, follow me." And a 10-second story went up on Instagram of Little Lion Man. And I think that's kind of how we got in contact and got to know each other, and also through
Yeah.
of course, and live music promotions. And yeah, but the last 5 years then the band has been kind of, yeah, flying it really. Never
Flat
meant
out.
to have a band, but here we are. And yeah, we've been doing weddings ever since.
Yeah, it's mad the way that you get sucked into it. I remember when we started, like, we were just jamming in the pubs and somebody come up, "Here, lads, would you play our wedding?" And we were like, "What?" Didn't have a clue. Somebody be into the music we were playing. We were just having the crack. And yeah, we ended up getting well stuck into it. But, like, for your solo gigs, it's all high energy stuff. But you do a bit of everything though, don't you?
Yeah, I try anyway. I try. You like my preference is, yeah, from start to finish, lively. Get people going. The wilder the crowd get, the better I'll get. And at the end of the night, if they're on top of the tables and swinging off the chandeliers, I'm happy. You know.
Yeah, exactly what
But
I mean.
that being said, there's going to be nights where maybe people don't want that, and you got to suit the vibe in the room. Or maybe for, we'll say, a drinks reception, people might want an acoustic, laid back set, and I might do a couple more relaxed stuff.
Yeah.
What depending on what people like, but mostly, yeah, I like it lively.
Yeah, I'm not saying you have, like, all that country stuff in your back pocket, like,
Yeah.
because you were you brought up on it. It was just like a bit of your background.
Yeah, it was, and I grew up with it. I was surrounded by it, and I always remember I was involved in a youth cafe years ago, and they ran a fashion show, and that was my first gig, 15 minutes down in the local hotel. And out of that, there was a local musician, Charlie McCarthy, and he asked me, "Would you ever come with me and play for a Haiti fundraising night. So I said, no
Uh,
bother, no bother. And he said, before that, come with me to a couple of gigs. We'll get used to playing together. So we did. And he had all the country stuff. I had the more modern stuff. But, you know, he'd often say to me, if there's a young crowd come in, you'll be able to sort them and we'll both be able
yeah,
to do the country. And I suppose that really taught me from an early age, have a bit of everything in your pocket. No matter who walks in, you've got something for them, you know?
yeah,
And if people tell me then, yeah, we want a whole night of country and Irish, walk in the park. And if they want a whole night of modern classic hits, no problem. But it's nice
mhm,
to be able to give people the mix and pick and choose and yeah, be as
yeah.
versatile as possible, really, you know?
That thing to play to the dance floor in front of you on the night.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
very
it's always an
important.
important. I'd always like when we were gigging in the band. Like some of the lads were like, "Oh, I don't want to be at the waltzes and the jives and all that sort of carry on." And I used to be like, "Well, it's not really fair when there's a load of grannies, grandas, older aunties, and all. Like that's all they want. They want just a wee waltz, wee jive, get up for a boogie. They want to get up too. It's like, well, let them get up, let them get involved." And
Absolutely. And you know what? Those people will like I often find as well, those kind of songs, everyone knows them. And there's a certain way to dance them. And no, not everybody might know how to do a jive or a foxtrot but they all know how to waltz. So for a wedding, even if you don't like a waltz yourself, sometimes you might play a wedding and the crowd mightn't be dancers and you play a waltz, everyone's up on the floor.
yeah,
And from there, you've got momentum to go wherever you want after that. So they can be a very useful thing in your pocket for a wedding, really.
yeah, because that's the thing I always find. They always thought, "Oh, it's for the oldies." Anytime we played a waltz, everyone was up at it. Like the young ones loved it. They love having the crack. So yeah, it's good to have all that in your arsenal and be able to do all that.
Definitely.
So like, is there anything that makes you different from others? Mainly, you can do everything, and
Yeah, I suppose that's one of my biggest strengths is just the versatility. And like that we have couples that will come to me and they'll say, "Oh, we don't want this sound, we don't want this sound, but we love this kind of stuff." And it's just great that you can cater to them and no two weddings are the same. So like especially like you could have a wedding tonight in West Cork where you're playing a load of waltzes, a load of jives, all the country stuff, and then the next night you might be up in the city and you might have none of that. And I just think for us it keeps it fresh, it keeps it interesting, and it just means if the couples are happy, we're happy because what I wanted to make sure is that if people are happy, our job is done. And if the floor
yeah,
is full, that's what it's all about. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I suppose that's what I kind of would one of my strengths would be. And I suppose another thing that I've learned as well, probably from the country scene, is that like volume is a very important thing at these things. And not every band will maybe think of it because
Mhm.
we all want it's a natural thing with bands. We all want to be loud or have it pumping, but there is a fine line between having it pumping and blowing the heads off people. And I know myself from even listening to my grandfather, he might say, "Oh, we were at a wedding last night. The band blew the head off me. I was gone after half an hour."
Yeah,
And you don't want to be the band that sends people home early, you know?
yeah,
So you've got to keep that in mind. And that's something I'm very aware of, you
yeah.
know?
I know what was it I heard one time. It was a bit of advice. It was like loud enough that the dance floor can hear you, but the people sitting around the edge can still chat.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. If you see them down the back of the hall and they're leaning into each other and they're roaring, you know to
Yeah,
put it back.
yeah. Turn it down a notch.
Stall the ball out a small bit, lads, you know?
Yeah. And like, do you do ceremonies, cocktail receptions, the whole shebang?
I do. I do. I do a little bit of it all. I suppose the most of my work would be the mains with the band or the day twos on my own. I do a lot of that. But I do the ceremonies and I do the drinks receptions as well. And it's handy because, sometimes I had a couple one time and they had somebody booked for their ceremony, for their drinks reception, and they were also going to play after the band that night. And the singer got sick, so they couldn't do it. They came to me, and it was a one-stop shop for them. I was able to look after it all last minute, and
Mhm.
they were delighted in the end. And they said, "Look, thank God, at least we didn't have to get two or three different musicians because
Yeah,
you know yourself, Justin, it can be hard to get musicians at times. We're booked a long ways in
is
advance
right.
sometimes,
Yeah,
So it
yeah.
worked out really
Nah,
well for them.
nah, I know that for sure. And this thing, it's handier when you can book everything in one package, deal with one person. Like, it's just a lot handier. And that thing, I know you're known for being extremely trustworthy, and you know that's your thing. And for chatting to all the rest of the musicians, is like, yeah, Danny's on it. Do you know what I mean?
That's
I
nice
know
to
of
hear.
other musicians you would hear, it was like, oh, geez, they got offered an extra £100 they're canceling that gig and this and that. But like, for you, you're in. Like, I know you're good for that. Always
Yeah.
have been.
Yeah, my look, I suppose like that, Justin, your word is your bond, and like, it doesn't cost anything to be nice,
Yeah,
and for me, morals are more important than money at times, and like, well and good if you get a message or you get called for a wedding 6 or 12 months down the line, and you might have a bar gig in the diary. You can go to the bar and say, "Would you mind if we swap the date?" And if they
yeah,
say no problem, well and good. And if they say, "We kind of want you that night," that's fine.
yeah,
You were first
yeah,
in, away you go. No problem
yeah.
at all, you know? So
Like,
I guess it's about balancing it, but doing it in the right way.
yeah. And
Yeah.
like, would you have any advice for any couples that are booking bands, DJs, solo musicians, anything like what you do? Like, what's the things that couples should be asking
Yeah.
other
I suppose
musicians?
the first thing I would say is maybe definitely go and hear somebody live.
Yeah,
That's the
big one.
first thing, because stage presence and crowd communication is very important, and that is something that I would probably consider one of my strengths. Um, but you need to engage with an audience and get them. You can be the best musicians in the world, but if you're looking down at your instrument all night, people won't feed off that. So you need to
Mm.
be good crack on stage and have a laugh with people.
Yeah,
Um, what I would also say to people is, you know, make sure that when you are hearing, if you hear your band and you like what you hear, make sure that that's the band that comes on the night, you know,
yeah,
because you know yourself, sometimes that doesn't happen. And look, sometimes that can't be avoided. You might have someone that has a family emergency or a medical emergency the night before a wedding, and you might have to get someone in last minute. It can happen. But that's something that's worth asking. Um, Another thing I would say is maybe talking to them about maybe your venue. I once played a wedding and I was actually doing the mains as a solo. And I showed up at about 6:30 to set up early. And I was meant to be on at 9.
uh,
And I asked when I got there, I was like, right, where do you want me to set up? And they said, oh, we'll set you up where the top table is. I said, grand. There was a corner left and right at the top table, which would have been perfect for me to set up in. But they said, no, we'll put you on the stage. So that was fine. 9:10, the stage was still not put up. And I had to, I was setting up at the side, having everything ready because I said, this is not going to run on time. And long
mm.
story short, I spoke to the manager and he said, what time you meant to start? I said, 10 minutes ago. And I said, oh
Yeah,
God. Yeah. So
yeah,
that stage got erected fairly quickly then. But the
yeah.
same night, only the week of the wedding did the couple learn that there was a curfew at 12 p.m. in the hall and there was no
Right.
restaurant bar. So
Ah,
I
okay.
was to do a disco after my set and we had to cut that short and the couple were disgusted, and
Yeah.
especially when the music was late starting on top of it, it really compressed our night. But
Uh-huh.
having my gear set up, I was set up within 2, 3 minutes of the stage going up. And we had a great night in the end and we really made the most of it. But
Yeah.
that poor couple, I felt so sorry for them because it wasn't until the week of their wedding they learned about the curfew, you
Yeah,
know?
getting all the details. I know for like uh when booking all the bands and DJs, like couples would be asking, oh, can you start at like 8 o'clock? And I'd be like, 8 o'clock? Like, there's no chance that you're going to be finished dinner and all this. It's because there's some wedding organizers or wedding coordinators at venues. They're there on the day, but they go home as soon as they sit down for food. They're out the gap. So they don't know what happens after, the food's finished, and they don't realize there's a good hour of packing down tables and this and that and setting stages up. And it's later. It's 9 o'clock. I was like, it's probably 9, half 9. You're going to get started. And this is why it's like, because this happens. And it's better I think, having the music as late as possible. Like, what I mean that is after the dinner, a bit of relaxing so people are ready to dance. Like, you don't want people scooping their ice cream and running to the dance floor. Like, they're not going to be ready to boogie.
No, no,
Yeah.
it
Get
works out
get
better.
good use out of your band that way.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like, have you any tips on how couples could save money or budget around booking music, or even with yourself? What can you do in package wise and all that?
Or just remortgage the house.
Yeah.
So, jokes aside now, jokes aside, do you know what, Justin? For me, anyways, like if I'm working with a couple and they do say they want me for more than one element, do you know, the more elements they have, the less traveling I'm doing. So you
Yeah.
can, it makes it a lot more affordable. I've often done, we'll say, their drinks reception, then go setting up for the mains that night. And even if I wasn't playing the drinks reception, I have a habit of going in and setting up the gear for the main early in the day. I like having it set up early. I know it's an optional extra with some bands. I do it as a courtesy just to be as organized and prepared for my sake as much as for theirs.
Yeah.
Um, you know, things can go wrong, technical issues. So at least that way, you don't have doors opening. You're not putting your couples in a draft while they're eating. You're not
Yeah.
waiting maybe 2 hours for the band if something did go wrong. It puts me at ease. But yeah, if you have me for more than one aspect, it makes it a bit more affordable. But I think, yeah,
Yeah.
that's, do you know what?
Yeah.
Like, you have to work with couples as well. So, like, sometimes people might have a budget in mind, and you say,
Uh,
right, what is your budget? And they'll tell you and say, look, maybe we won't get a 5-piece band for that, but we might be able to give you the 3-piece or the 4-piece. And
yeah.
you know, as I said earlier, I've done a lot of weddings, actually, mains as a solo, and you know, truth be told, every night I go in on my own for them, there's a little bit of a nervousness because you're thinking, people are expecting a band here. How is this going
Yeah.
to go down? But
Uh-huh.
amazingly, every night I've done one on my own, we've had great nights,
Yeah.
and it's worked. And it's always worked. So, you know, you don't need to go full band if you're having 50, 60, 70 people and your budget is small, a 1 or a 2-piece can be amp.
Plenty enough. Plenty enough. I know like couples getting in touch with me looking a band. And again, for smaller crowds, less than 100 people, I'd be like, here, one very dangerous one man band can will do the same crack as, a load of people.
Yeah,
And yeah, that thing,
yeah.
just make sure they're on it and they know what they're doing.
If you're getting married and looking for the very best wedding venues and suppliers in Ireland, head over to weddings.ie. Here we have a venue finder and supplier finder feature. You can fill in all your information, what you're looking for, and it will recommend you the best wedding venues and suppliers. You can then message them all in one go. They will get back to you with their availability, brochures and pricing. It's a super simple way to find the best wedding venues and suppliers and to make the planning process super simple. So go to weddings.ie and start booking the perfect venues and suppliers for your big day.
Is there anything popular you're seeing at weddings? Like, is there popular songs, first dances? Like, what's happening now?
Do you know what? I'm finding that the older music has really come back in a big way, and I suppose the Irish music is the same. I think Kingfisher and Amble are doing a lot to revive the Irish folk scene at the moment.
Yeah.
We did one wedding last summer actually for our good friend Niamh O'Connor, and the brief was loads of Kingfisher, and
Yeah.
you know what? It was my first time actually properly listening to them besides Killa, and I fell in love with them. I thought they were brilliant, but they're a real hot topic now at the moment. But the older songs, you know, the likes of your Travelling Soldiers, your This Is the Life, they've come back out of nowhere, probably from TikTok, but
Yeah.
they've come out of nowhere and they're as popular now as they were, probably more popular now than they were when they first
Yeah.
came out. Do you know?
And they're massive sing-alongs, like anthems.
Yeah, yeah. And
That's what you want.
everybody knows them, you know?
Yeah.
So they work for all ages, which is great.
Yeah.
They're safe
Yeah.
bets.
Another thing, if you're playing them sort of tunes, getting everyone involved, like that's all you're going for. That's the winners,
That's the thing.
Get everyone on.
That's the thing, you know. And
Yeah.
look, a lot of us will play a lot of the same songs because we know they're going to work. But,
Yeah.
you know, once you have the right songs, that's half the battle,
Yeah.
you know.
Have you anything else that you enjoy about working in the wedding industry, gigging, couples? Like,
Do you know what I love? What I do love about it, Justin, is getting to know people and getting to, you become friends with them, really, you know, because it's a long, you know, you might be booked with 18 months and you might be back and forth and I often say to my couples, send me on any requests, anything that you think of, that you want to ask, message me anytime. And more often than not, you might get a message saying, "Oh, just heard this song on the radio, would love this." And you'll be back and forth and you build up a rapport. And,
Yeah,
by the time the wedding comes around and you see them on the floor for the first dance, it's very wholesome,
yeah,
and i- for me, to be part of that and to be maybe providing the music for them as well on their big day, for me, it's an honor.
yeah,
It's not something I take lightly because a wedding is a big, big thing. And,
yeah.
it's a big honor to be there. But, when you get to know them as well, it's just fantastic, really. Like,
Yeah. Has there been any stick out weddings to you? Like
yeah, how
things
long
that have
have we
mad
got?
have happened or
Yeah, do you know what? I'll try and keep it short now. There was one wedding from last year that I don't think I'll ever forget. We were down in Fota, and the week before the wedding, um, I actually landed on my leg. I fell, and I messed up my ligaments and tore the ligaments, and walking wasn't easy. This was a Tuesday, and the wedding was on the Saturday. Long story short, by the Saturday, I was on the floor dancing around with the bride and groom. I shouldn't have been, but we strapped up, we got on with it. The show must go on. And come the end of the night, we had a mighty, mighty night. And I was playing the day two for them after as well. So at the end of the day two, all was said and done, the bride came up and she said, "My two legs are killing me." And on the Monday, she messaged me to say a picture of her with two crutches. And she
oh,
said, "You injured the bride with the height of dancing from the last two nights." And
Jesus.
that to me was the ultimate compliment.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's a good review picture to have.
Yeah, yeah. An injured front man and an injured bride. But we got there and
Jesus.
my God, it was brilliant.
Yeah. Some crack. There are good things to be happening. Have you
Oh,
any advice for wedding couples in general? Like
yeah,
booking.
absolutely. Absolutely. Jesus, how long? Yeah, I could go on and on here, so I'll try and keep it short. But my one of the biggest things I think is if you're starting with your planning, go and pick your venue first. Or at least have a look at them and get dates and get all of their availability for the period that you're looking for.
Yeah.
Because more often than not, a couple will come to me with one date, and you might have a different wedding booked in or something that you can't cancel, and you have to just say, "I'm sorry, I'm gone." And it's awful having to say that to them, and you feel like you're letting them down. But then if you
Yeah.
say, "Right, we've gone here, we've got this, and this date," they can go to all their suppliers and say, "Right, we want out of our five favorite suppliers, four of them can do such a date. We'll go with this date." And it
Yeah.
just ties everything in very, very easily.
Mm.
Um, Another thing I would have to recommend is weddings.ie. Um,
Oh yeah.
Shameless plug for you, but like, and I'm not saying that because I'm talking to you, Justin, but like, it's a fantastic idea. Like
Mm.
as a clueless man, if I was getting married in the morning, I would know where to turn to for half of the stuff, besides only for being in the scene, of course. And like you can log on to your site, you got your venues, flowers, celebrants, makeup, musicians, magicians. The whole lot
Mm.
is there. You could literally plan your wedding from your laptop.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And I think that makes it a lot easier for couples and takes a lot of the stress out of the planning as well. And yeah, as I said earlier, checking in with your hotel to make sure your curfew or your residence bar is at a time that you're happy with. Very important. Very
Yeah. That's a
important
big one.
because you could be let down.
Yeah. And just when you're saying about weddings.ie, like you play the Wedfest events, and like that, I'd say that's probably, I know that's another one couples love to go. You've played that a few times. They get to see the band live,
Yeah, it's
you know.
it's brilliant. Like as I said, I'm not I'm not married myself yet. And I love
Mhm.
walking around the stalls and looking at the different suppliers and having the crack with them. And some of them, some of them I don't know, but like just having a look and seeing what's out there. I mean, you walk into Parky Queeve and the whole place is full of suppliers. It's amazing. Like it is a
Mm.
credit to you. Like what
Yeah.
you've pulled together, it is unreal. And as you say, the beauty of actually not just talking to a band at a stall or plugging in headphones and trying to listen to them a promo video on a laptop, you can turn around and say, "We're down on the band stage at 2 o'clock. um,
Yeah.
after the fashion show or before, whatever, and they can go in and they can hear not just you, but they'll get to hear other bands and musicians as well. So at least, like, the beauty of that, again, you're not just going to a bar and hearing one band, you get to hear multiple all in one. And
Yeah.
you might go with one in mind and you might say, Jesus, they were actually fairly good now as well.
Yeah.
And
And
it's brilliant.
the thing, it could be a thing where it's like, oh, your first choice band were booked already. It's like, well, at least, you can see, oh, them all the ones that were good as well. They might be runners. But yeah, I think that's a massive one, to go and see the band live. Because I know from, yes, watching videos online, you can get a good idea of what they're like. But live performance can be like a lot different. Like in a studio recording, there's lots of, you know, everything's been fixed and sounding perfect. You know,
Yeah.
you can do magic things for a video, whereas live, it's what's in front of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
no auto tune when you're live. You know?
That's the main thing, and the crowd interaction and the crack that goes with it.
Yeah. And seeing
The band.
seeing how a band will handle maybe certain challenges or certain venues as well. Like you might have, there's always something happening on a night. No two nights are the same. And see, so, you might see a GA crowd have come in. How are they going to deal with maybe keeping them entertained and playing the right material, or someone's after taking a fall, or different things. Seeing
Yeah,
how they respond to things, and how you handle it, really, because there's been many nights now that we've been playing in town, and we'll say the big nights especially, and the bar might be so full that people might be helplessly falling in front of you. And it's not their
yeah,
fault. It's just a volume of people. So in those situations, for safety reasons, I'll try and manage the crowd through our set list. And what I'll
yeah,
do, I'll go for a bit of Killa or Grace. We'll slow it down for one or two just to give people a chance, and then drive it on and hit them hard again with a couple of lively stuff.
yeah, yeah,
But sometimes you have to look out for people as well in those settings. And you know what? A very good tip for people, actually, that I might have forgotten earlier, is if you're going to hear someone, hear them and understand maybe where you're hearing them and what kind of a night you're going to hear them on. Because
yeah.
I could play a solo gig on a Saturday night and it's going to be high tempo, high energy, whereas you might be playing on a weeknight somewhere and it mightn't be as busy.
Yeah.
And people will then maybe try and judge you off of playing to a quieter night and a quieter crowd, whereas your energy might be just match the room, don't be too in their face. And then people might
Uh-huh.
think, hearing you that night, oh yeah, he's not as lively as he promises to be,
Uh,
So hearing someone in the right setting is very important as well.
yeah. No, that's a big one, because I remember from us being in the band, we'd always get the question from people seeing us live in the pubs. Oh, do you not play any waltzes or jives? It was like, it was, not that night. It was all rowdy, lively youngsters in, it wouldn't have fitted, but they're part of the set list. That's something I would always say, is like, yeah, keep that in mind, what crowd you're in. And yeah.
Absolutely.
Um,
We
yeah.
we never play a waltz when we're as a band. Very rarely would we play a waltz in a bar, you know?
Uh-huh.
Um, Same as yourselves, but by God, have I
It's,
a lot of them, you know?
yeah, I'm not saying they're in the set and they can be done. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Um, have you any gigs coming up, showcase events, anything like that? People can go check you out.
I said, do you
Or
know
where?
what?
Or where? Like, you've got a couple of regulars, don't you? That
Yeah,
people can
yeah.
check you out on.
You could find, you could find me anywhere, Justin, truth be told. Like, but yeah, I suppose, like that now, we are bringing in a fiddle player now, actually, at the moment.
Uh-huh.
Sage. She's amazing. She's plays with Bird, who have just finished touring with Ed Sheeran. So that will tell you the caliber of
Yeah,
musician she is. She's incredible. She was meant to be joining us in January, but she went off on a tour of America for
yeah,
3 months,
yeah,
as you do.
yeah. That's fair
How
enough.
can you how can you turn that down? You don't.
Yeah.
So her first gig with us is actually coming up this weekend now in JJ Walsh's, but I don't know when this will be aired. So the next night she'll be with us will be down in Dwyer's in Cork on the
Yeah.
23rd of May. And that's going to be one of our first nights as a four-piece band. And because she's so good and because she's so busy, she won't be with us every night. But
Uh-huh.
um, what I will be doing is I'll be posting up on my stories on Instagram, Facebook. Every weekend I'm out, either as a solo or a band, 3 or 4 nights a week. You mentioned a regular venue. I'm down in Casey's in Clonakilty every Monday night on my own,
Uh-huh.
and they're very, very good to me. So I'm there every Monday. I'm generally out 4 nights a week. So the easiest thing is lock in with me on social media. You see where I am, and I will be posting as well from now on, whether it's a 3-piece band gig or a 4-piece band gig. So couples that do
Yeah.
want to hear us as a full outfit will get the opportunity, which, is very
Yeah.
important.
And like, what's the main hunts or venues? Like, what's the ones you'd be playing and knocking about then?
I suppose where you'd find us most would be Clancy's, JJ Walsh's, Dwyer's, and down in Casey's and Clon. They would be probably the venues you'd see me in most often.
Yeah.
But you could find me anywhere. I'm almost afraid to go naming places in case I leave people out, But yeah, they're the first ones that come to mind that I do most frequently.
Yeah.
Um,
And like, what location would you look after? Where will you travel to go play weddings and gigs and day twos?
well, I've gone as far as Donegal in the past, so
Oof.
can travel, will travel.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
Truth be told, look, I did that for years with mum, and it's great. But going up to likes of Donegal is a long journey. It's tough. So I'm trying
yeah,
to kind of keep it to Munster now within
yeah,
reason.
yeah,
Keep it in Munster's big enough to keep busy enough.
yeah.
But
Like
if
all
someone
all
wanted
the
us,
Cork Kerry ones, like the main hotels venues in Cork Kerry,
yeah,
probably the
Cork,
main
Kerry,
ones.
maybe Waterford, Tipperary as well. But if someone really wanted you to travel on a bit further, we wouldn't let them down. You know.
Yeah.
But that's
Uh-huh.
kind of where we're focusing mostly on, is just keeping Munster mostly. But yeah,
Yeah.
we'll never say no to a gig.
Awesome. Cool. Where do people find out more about you? Like, where's the main hotspots?
I suppose, look, Instagram, Danny O'Leary Music, and the very same on Facebook. They would be my most active. I'm not on TikTok. I'm old. Uh, or my website, dannyolearymusic.com. I have a dedicated tab for weddings as well. So I just outline the different things that I offer and the different bundles that you can get me as. And yeah,
Uh-huh.
it answers a lot of questions there as well.
So, quick message on socials or email.
Yes, yeah, or email DannyO'LearyMusic@gmail.com will find me, or even a phone call. But all my contact information, you'll get it on my website or quick Google. You'll find me all right if you want me.
Awesome stuff. Awesome. Cool. We'll wrap it up there. Nice one, Donny. Cheers for joining us.
Not at all, Justin.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me and for all you've done for me in the band in the last number of years, because it, yeah, there's a lot of those venues I mentioned that I wouldn't be in without you. So
Yeah.
credit where it's
Nah,
due, you know?
you're a solid entertainer, musician. Like, yeah, well
Fluffer,
up there. So,
fluffer.
nah, no, well on it. You can be trusted to rock any party. So,
Well,
we're looking forward to having you and seeing you at Wedfest again. I'm sure.
absolutely.
Hopefully,
Absolutely.
some night, if I ever get out for a few scoops, I might catch you.
Yeah, come here. Bring the bass.
Yeah, oh,
We'll
cheers.
get you up. We'll get you up.
Yeah. Is
Yep.
that something actually, like, would you ever have people wanting to jump up and do a tune with you? Like, would you happy enough all that sort of carry on happening?
Yeah, yeah. We've had it. We've had it. The very same wedding we played down in Photo where we injured the bride. Uh, the groom's grandfather, or the groom's father, came up, and he played, and like that. It was unexpected, not planned, but it was such a lovely moment.
Awesome.
It was so special. But no, that is something we would accommodate if people want as well.
Yeah.
You know,
If it gets the crack going, it's in.
absolutely, absolutely. Now I will say, a good tip for people, if you are asking people about singers, and some nights you might get a list of, when you're in a bar, you might get a list of 5 or 6 singers to call. I will say to couples, if you do have a list of singers, keep it short if you can, because the more singers that come up on the stage, the more time that takes up of your night. And if someone goes up and sings Caledonia for 5 minutes, you're not going to get people dancing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
sometimes it's maybe better off to let the band know before the night, so that you can
Uh-huh.
kind of have a tactic and say, right, we'll call them in the first half an hour. They won't be thinking about it all night if they're nervous about it. And
Yeah.
you've got an hour and a half to just drive on, keep it lively, and have no interruptions after that. So that's another very good tip, actually. for people.
Yeah, I've had that before actually. Chatting back and forward. Somebody wants to get up and it's like, yeah, we'll do it around this time. What songs do you want to get up and play? Just make sure it's all kosher. We know what's going on. Yeah, a wee bit of planning and organising to it.
Yeah,
Give me a great crack.
it's a small thing, but it goes a long way.
Yeah,
You know,
massive.
it does. It does.
Awesome stuff, Danny. Right, we'll cut it up there. That's the
Yeah,
pod.
thank you.
So we'll catch up soon. Nice one.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Justin. Mind yourself.
Thanks very much for watching the episode. Hope you enjoyed it. YouTube is going to recommend another one for you to watch right here. Check it out and leave any comments below. We'd love to hear from you.